Welcome everyone to this call focused on governance, deep funding governance, talk about everything that is important to deep funding. So this one is we have two kinds of all-hands, let's say. One that is the monthly updates where we share what we've been doing for all the month, and this one where we can talk about any relevant topics we want. So if you have a topic, if you have anything you'd like to discuss, please feel free to raise your hand and to unmute. I think is always good. But as for the agenda today, as you've probably seen by Victor's message, we are discussing the survey, the payment survey that went out, I think, last week, and the results of this survey, and hopefully continuing the conversations regarding to the payments of the circle and how we should move forward with that. And besides that, if we have some time, hopefully we'll have the Operation Circle, just sharing a little bit more about the new payment system that is now live and that we already used in the previous month, and that we'll keep on using from now onwards. And that can be definitely important for everyone to be comfortable with it and to reduce mistakes as much as possible. Talking about mistakes, I'm sorry for for the invite yesterday, but I hope everyone, nobody was here waiting for too long. But it was great to see how so many people were paying attention and were like, "Oh, it's not this day, it's tomorrow." That was very positive. It's good, and I'll promise you, if we change the schedule, we'll try to warn you here in a call beforehand. So, thank you all for the updates. And now, I would say if nobody has anything to say, anything to add, I think we could move on with the survey discussion. I think we should have also a presentation on the results, right, Jan?
Yes, so I expect the analytics circle, probably by means of Israel or Edwin, to give a presentation of the outcomes of the survey and their analysis on the outcomes. And then after that, I have a very boring presentation to follow up on that. But I'll first give the floor to, well, I think Israel is preparing himself.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Just made you co-host, Israel, so you should be able to share the screen.
Yeah, I hope you all can hear me.
I
All right.
could
All
hear
right.
you,
Thank you
yes.
so much, Rafael. All right. Can we all see my screen?
It's still loading, at least for me. Yeah, it seems to be stuck in the loading phase.
Now. Okay. Screen.
Maybe try again, I would say. Cancel and try again.
How about now?
Is loading. Let's see. Maybe try to take off your video. I mean, I love seeing you, but I think the network might be, yeah, not able to handle everything.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
it's not loading.
Israel,
It is-
perhaps if you share the link with Rafael and team, they can share for you would present.
Oh, okay.
yes, definitely.
All right. Sec.
All right, I got it. I'll be sharing it right now. Can you all see my screen?
Yay.
Awesome. So yeah, Israel, here you have it. You can guide me, and I'll try to do my best to follow your little name.
All right. Thank you. So, hello everyone once again, and welcome to today's all open hands. So the analysis of the survey responses based on the circle reward structure. I think 2 weeks ago we had a meeting like this to talk about the whole reward system for the circles and all of that, right? So this is the overview of our reports based on the survey provided. I mean the data provided to us. So the report analyzes the survey responses on the circle reward system, trying to examine fairness, perceptions, preferred payment method models, hierarchical preference, and their implications. So if you click on the link you have there, takes you directly to the dashboard that we built that uncovers the trends and insight for the decisions we made. So the analysis aimed to uncover these patterns, which I already said earlier, fairness, transparency, and efficiency in the program. So in the data that was provided, the survey responses we just have like 20 respondents. So we collected 20 respondents in different circles, which the highest participation was from the review circle. And at least we had response from each of the circle as well. Like I think review circle has 5 respondents, which is like the highest of the numbers of respondents we have. So which is a little bit fair compared to every other circle as well. So the fairness of reward system here is on a scale of the very first question that was asked, on a scale of 1 to 5, what is the looking at the current reward system, what is the rating you would give? And we see that the rating that was provided, we see that for the first very rating had 1, but it was like 0.01% of respondents rated. We have like 15%, which not so good percent, and so on and so forth. Like for rating 5 as well, we have 40%, which are the highest respondents in the system, right? So the average fairness of the rating is approximately just 3.82. So if you can go to the dashboard, I just want to show
You mean this dashboard, Israel? I cannot hear you right now. I don't know if you're answering.
the second link. Okay, all right, perfect.
The
So we have
second,
total numbers of participants here.
sorry, it's a bit
I mean
delayed.
yeah. So we have total numbers of participants here, 20, and fairness rating distribution across board. You can see for most of the circles that's picked on the rating of 1 to 5, 5 has the highest rating, which is the satisfaction rating for the current reward system. And one of the findings we had during that moment is of the focus group and marketing circle.
I cannot hear you very well right now, Israel. I don't know if it's just
System.
me.
Up to the reports. Can you go back to the reports, Rafael?
Yeah, I think you cut it a little bit into whatever it is that you're explaining,
Can
at
you go
least
back to
for
the
me.
reports? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. So moving on, we have differences across circles. So for the focus group, they gave the highest fairness rating, which I was explaining earlier. They gave the 5.0 rating average, indicating strong satisfaction based on the correct reward system. Event circle and marketing circle has a lower average rating, about 3.5 average, suggesting concerns about the fairness in the circles. And the developer, which is the dev outreach circle, rated fairness at about 4.67 average, which shows a relatively high satisfaction. So which means we see a major part of all the circles sticking to the current reward system and giving it an average rating of 3.82 total together, right? So moving on, we're going to move on to the preferred payment system. Participants were asked about their preferred payment model, which the following trends were observed. So indicating that respondents that participated in this survey, they had about 30% prefers the fixed flat monthly payments. Number two is the tax-based payment, about 20% preferred compensation based on tax, either complexity or how easy or how complex it is. And we see about 15% favor circles like managing budgets and paying contributors accordingly, which is the budget approach, monthly budget approach. And the last one is the flat 10 hours per $10 per hour payments, which about 15% favor a flat $10 per hour rate for all tasks with a small allocated budget to be spent as deemed fit. So out of all this, we realized that the fixed flat monthly payments are the highest percentage, which a lot of people preferred, right? Which is good. And the differences in the hourly rates is that we had the conditions by defining the higher rated tax, which we mentioned in our last meeting, that tax requiring coordination across multiple people. We have tax involving higher complexity or responsibility. So it's either this or the last one, which is the fixed predefined rate for transparency. So these are the three categories we discussed in our last meeting, and we're going to still shed more light based on that very soon. So I'll move on to the hierarchical structure preferences, which was all part of the questions that were asked in the survey. So we see that participants share their view on hierarchical structures within the program, particularly regarding the role of coordinators, to be more specific. So we had 35% of respondents prefer defined leadership role with clear responsibility. And we see that 25% support some level of hierarchy for coordination, but keep the responsibilities as a bare minimum, which is good. And 15% preferred full equality without designated role for coordination. So we see a lot of people support the defined leadership role with clear responsibility in this. So, and finally, I'm going to draw the curtain at the recommendation part here. Based on the insight we've provided through the questions that were given out in the survey, this is our recommendations as we proposed. So we see that from the data, we should consider a hybrid payment model, which means incorporating a fixed base pay with tax-based incentives. So this can provide flexibility and accommodate different work style. So just like we had about 35% of people respondents fix their are satisfied with the fixed base pay amount, and which is very, very interesting to see. Number two is increased transparency in tax evaluation criteria and payment distribution. So in our tax allocation and how we evaluate, how we review each of these tax, there should be transparency in the distribution. Okay, if it's going to be a fixed $10 per hour, we should keep it that way, and that should be like it based on tax criteria and how we evaluate it. The last one is, the second to the last, define clear coordination rule while maintaining a balanced participatory structure. So we implement clear guidelines on coordinator responsibility to maintain fairness. And according to our findings, we realized that data analytics circle, event circle, marketing circle likes this approach, while the dev outreach focus group accept more hierarchy if roles are rotated to avoid power concentration rather. So we should implement a clear guideline to keep everything in check. So coordinators should have the responsibility to maintain fairness. And also, if it's going to be in a we're going to be rotating the leadership role, it should be based on roles to avoid any discrepancy and any power concentration. And lastly, regularly review the reward system time to time. So we advise that we'd address fairness concerning the reward system every quarter, every 6 months. We review it. We look at what's we're going to optimize or change or get to make it better. And in conclusion, the analysis provide valuable insight into the reward preference and fairness perceptions within circles, while laying without no bias. Implementing this recommendation can enhance motivation, equality, and efficiency in the program. So this is the report and our insight from the survey we analyzed based on the circle reward system. Thank you very much. Please, if you have any question. Yeah.
Thank you, Israel. Any questions? I see Ayo with his hand up. Ayo?
Oh yeah, thank you, Israel. Not a question, more like a perspective. So I am not sure, but it seems like the review circle has more members probably than maybe a lot of other circles. So proportionate respondents is per circle is maybe different. So for example, we have 30 people in event circle. I wouldn't know if all 3 responded, right? But if we had 3/3, that is 100% representation in the responses, as opposed to if a circle has maybe 7 and then you have maybe 4 or 5 out of 7. I just wanted to say that that is a bit, I mean, the perspective could be a bit different when looked at like that. But great work. Thank you so much.
Rafael, you have your hand up.
Yep, thank you. Yeah. Israel, team, Edwin, Anis, great work. Indeed, really good for us to assess and give some directions or suggest some directions. But I would like to make a remark here about something that I read here in the chat about the marketing circle. So yes, one respondent might be because we are still integrating, even though, as Sucre mentioned here, it's going to be soon the biggest in numbers, the biggest circle with more integrants. They are still on this onboarding process. Some of them didn't even receive payments, so hard for them to jump in the survey and give their perspective as well, as they don't have this expertise or previous knowledge. So I'm not saying that it is the situation here, but indeed to have only one member answering, it's something that we have to take a look and try to understand better. It should have more.
All right. So if there's no more questions, no more remarks, congratulations to Israel, to the analytics circle. Great job. You guys are doing a lot of analytics work, and hopefully it will keep on going like that and just improve. Oh my God, I think I did a mistake, but Jan, you requested for sharing, and now I gave everyone sharing, not just you.
No!
No, we can start having problems.
Let me take advantage of it. Wait.
No. All right, I'll try to fix my mistake, but you are able to share right now.
I'll just share this screen first. I have a presentation, but I think this wasn't highlighted during the presentation, but it is actually the best visualization of what was going on. So you see here on the screen payment preferences per circle. And without going into all the details on what all the colors means, what you see is a very scattered landscape. So there's no clear consensus overall, and there's no clear consensus per circle. I noticed that in Israel's summary, there was a significant amount of or percentage of people, of respondents saying, I want a flat fee. I know there's consent, so I don't know who these people are. I know there is consensus about this flat fee in the focus group, and we will allow that to happen also. So if we take that away, then this percentage would be much lower for the rest of the circles to have this preference for a flat fee. There's actually also the one person from marketing that responded in time was having a flat fee, and the one person of operations was in favor of a flat fee. But that's only one person, so I don't know what the rest of that circle looks like. In defense of marketing, I was just looking, there were 3 more respondents that came in after the deadline. We didn't put it on hold immediately. 2 of them were from marketing. So with a little bit of creativity, you could say that 3 people responded from marketing. I don't know where the other came from. I could look into that. But yeah, this is what it is for now, and this is what we have to work with. And this is what I did work with, and what we also, Rafael and me, discussed yesterday, as Tommy already alluded to at length with the focus group. So what I would like to do next is share with you our thoughts and our conclusions on this survey. As you can see here on the left, this is an extremely boring presentation, only text-based. It's on purpose. This is a sensitive matter. I think it's something that is close to heart to everybody, which is, to be honest, why I was a little bit disappointed about the number of respondents. I would expect everybody to have an opinion on this and everybody to take the effort, the very small effort to tick a few questions in order to influence your payment for the next 6 months. But on the other hand, maybe I shouldn't be too judgmental, because I don't know the reasons why people haven't done that. Maybe the message didn't reach them. Maybe there were other reasons why they were not able to respond. In any case, we have to work with the things that we have. So let me put this on slideshow. And Rafael, thanks to your comment, I put it bullet by bullet now, so that we can have our full concentration on every bullet instead of reading the whole slide while I'm talking about the first bullet. Let me see. I hope it will work. So I will start with some observations. So we have about 8-9 slides with text, so please bear with me, and I hope we'll have some time left to discuss this. So, and I'll mostly read it out loud. I put it on a slide so that everybody can read with me, and that I'm absolutely sure that everybody can consume it and can understand what we're saying. So this is not a free-form presentation. This is just going point by point. So starting with some observations. We are observing that we are slipping away from the original vision of having a small number of tasks paid with a higher rate. This results not only in higher expenses, but also in a higher imbalance between community members. When we started this, we thought we have a basic pay of $10 an hour, and then for some tasks that are very special, we go for 20 bucks. And now it has moved towards 50-50, which was not the intention. So that's an observation. What I also noticed from the outcomes of the survey is that there seems to be a wide felt appreciation of having some tasks paid with a higher rate. But there is no clear consensus based on what criteria these tasks should be selected. So I think across the board, everybody thinks it's okay that some tasks are paid a little bit higher. But whether those are tasks that come with extra responsibility or extra expertise, or are one-offs or some other reason, that is very differentiated. Also, so this doesn't only go across the board, but also per circle. So different circles may have different needs and preferences, and there are different dynamics going on in each circle. But even within every circle, I call a team here, within every circle, there is no clear consensus, except with the focus group. They are, as far as we could see, well, and marketing and operation, but that's because only one person answered the survey. So it would be very hard not to have consensus then. Another observation is that we are growing. We're a growing organization, and that is reflected in the organization of our circles. So many circles are there are new circles emerging, and other circles like marketing, like what Rafael is saying, are changing. And also the program itself is growing, and this makes it hard. So if we wanted to do it fully budget-based, it would be very hard to determine upfront what the budget would be because there are so many changing parts here. Then the goals. So why are we doing this exercise? We want a payment system that is built on fairness, where every member feels they get a fair share of the pay based on the work that they do. So fair share is very important here. It's not only about the size of the cake, but also about how it is distributed and allocated across everybody based on the efforts that you put into it. There was one remark about inflation correction or something. Well, that is not what we're about here. We are not aiming for any local market alignment of rewards for multiple reasons. It would be very impractical and also not effective. We acknowledge and embrace that the current rates are symbolic for some, but significant for others. So the fact that we have a very flat rate means that in some locations, the payment is actually relatively good, which makes it easy for us to recruit people in these areas. Whereas in other locations, it's very symbolic. People could earn a lot more if they do their usual work, but they're still incentivized to come here, but for other reasons than just payment. No? And that ties into the next bullet point. We would like all community members to be attracted to the program for intrinsic reasons related to our beneficial goals, for networking and education, and not only for monetary reasons. We do give monetary compensation as a matter of respect and appreciation, but it's not a regular job, right? We are working mostly with, or maybe uniquely, I'm not 100% sure, with part-time people. And I hope you will all get something out of this apart from this payment. And that's something that's also important for the program as such, that we have people that come with a certain motivation to this program. And we see that this principle caters for a special kind of diversity that we want to nurture. And that is what I mentioned before. For some people, the motivation is a little bit more on the monetary side. For others, it's really about networking, or it's about learning new skills, or it's about being part of this movement, which is very important for the future of this planet if we do it right, making a beneficial AGI future. So, conclusions and measures. So here's the first thing. We will continue our reward system on an hourly based payment, but we will have a single flat rate of $10 per hour, regardless of the task. So we're going back to $10 for everything. However, we will periodically, probably monthly, 4-weekly, that's the period that we think about, calculate a percentage of the spent budget and offer this as an addition on top of the hourly payments of the circle. So everybody gets paid $10, But at the end of, let's say, the month, we will add a percentage of the hours made and of the budget spent on top of that, and allocate that to the circle as a whole. Oh. And then we expect each circle to discuss internally how you want this budget to be allocated. And then you can determine for yourselves whether it should be based on a specific task or specific responsibility, or if you want, you could distribute it evenly across all members of the circle. So that's a discussion that you can have, and it can be an ongoing discussion. So if we do this on a monthly basis, you will have some freedom to make changes to that every month, or maybe in the third month from now, some very special thing comes along that you think that you didn't foresee, but you think requires some additional compensation because a person did a great job. All that is in your own hands as as a circle. Oh, yeah. That's what you get when you do it bullet by bullet. So this is what I was just mentioning. So you could also, the last point I didn't touch on, what you can also do is saying, well, we won't allocate it yet. We'll save it for a couple of months, and then we'll do something with it. And, anything goes. If you want to pay one member or one task $100 an hour, and it's possible within the budget, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I also wouldn't stop it. If you, after 3 or 6 months, think you have saved enough to do something fun and you happen to be in the same location, go for it. It's your decision, etc. Conclusions and measures, more. So there might be so the basic idea is that so $10 an hour, and we offer a percentage on top of that to allocate as you see fit, but even that might not fit all the teams. So as I mentioned, the focus group is opting for a fully flat pay, so they will get the same amount every month per person regardless of the task. And the reason for that is because the administrative overhead is not balanced with the differentiated task per month. Basically, the tasks per month are always the same. Maybe one month it's 10 or 20% more, and the next month 10, 20% less. But if everybody agrees that this is a regular pay, then, well, it saves all people a lot of administrative overhead. So yeah, because also the work is so predictable, this is also on the table. This is also a good outcome. I don't see this particular solution yet for any other circle, but if you think it should be done for your circle as well, then feel free to convince us. Yeah, there's one other possible variation that isn't encapsulated in the basic process. You could say we will do a purely task-based process. We will calculate what a regular and fair amount is per task. So writing a blog, creating an image, whatever. Reviewing a milestone, and we'll keep it open-ended, but with a fixed amount per task. If that is what your circle prefers over the other thing, then yeah, we can work with that too. We need to figure out what a right amount per task is, and we need to make sure that it aligns with the budget that you would otherwise be getting. But I can totally work with that. Oh. Yeah, as mentioned, because we do it on a monthly, at least that's the intention. The periodicity of this is not fundamental. We can talk about that. If you say, or if all of you say it's too much overhead to do this on a monthly basis, we'd rather do this every quarter, allocate the surplus of the budget, fine with me. But imagining that we will do this on a monthly basis or a 4-weekly basis, you can adjust it as you go along, and you can use the insights from one month and from other circles and take those learnings and then adjust it in the next month. Oh. Now I can imagine Rojo and the operations team getting very pale and nervous about all of this because you guys have to support this one way or another. We haven't discussed it at all yet, so part of the agenda today was showing what the payment system will look like. Now, it might change a little bit due to these rules. So these are pragmatic things. We will talk about that. I think we can accommodate that. The good thing about this not being fully automated yet, but just based on a sheet, is that we have some flexibility to accommodate for that. And I will discuss it with Roho and the operations team, and then we'll give some clarity on the options and how we can register this. So we will start it as a manual process and learning by doing. Yeah, so for weekly or monthly, that's also a discussion I want to have with Roho. What makes most sense? I think usually for weekly is a little bit easier because then all the periods are the same. But then again, at the end of the year, it may be a little bit deviate a little bit. So I'm not 100% sure there yet. Yeah, so I thought about the percentage. So it's very easy to say we will give a percentage on the total number of hours done, but then on what? So we could do it on the average of the past 3 or 6 months and then give that by default. But that wouldn't accommodate for teams like the review circle, who will have a huge peak during a new round. And in other months, it may be more slow. We could also align it, take that percentage based on the estimates that you gave in the half yearly cycle. But some of these estimates are made based on the assumption that the team will grow a lot over time. So if we would take the percentage of that estimates and then calculate it back over a month, then in the first month, or if they fail to grow for whatever reason, we would be overpaying them compared to other circles. So yeah, the best thing I can come up with right now is just do it on a monthly basis. And after each month, make the calculation, how much hours did we spend? Then this will be the budget that you will be getting on top of that you can allocate. And yeah, that is some overhead, but I think it's the best way forward. Yeah, so operations, how they will support it. One more thing, I mentioned this, I think the other way, and it was a recommendation from the analytics circle as well. It would be great if all the circles could do some exercise, maybe in the next week or so, to try and categorize all the tasks. So look at the past period, maybe operations can help a little bit, giving all the things that you submitted, and then see if you can categorize them to some broader tasks. So I would say that 5 or 10 categories would be great. So for instance, this going to an all hands or going to meetings could be such a category. Maybe also category could be the discussions and the administration around this additional budget, so that we can also measure how much time it will cost us just to execute on this. I think that might be a proper measure. And then for each of some tasks will have very unique things, and some of these categories will be the same across the board. And then in the future, we can see if there are certain trends in certain categories and take learnings from that. Right, practice. No, that's the same one. Oh, I clicked on the wrong. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll stop here. And initially, the circle's top-up budget will be calculated at 20% of their spend of the month. So that is the percentage that we're thinking about. That is what we intended originally. So what we are seeing in in real, well, I'll get back to that later. 20%. But in addition, we will have a flexible budget as a reserve that we will make available to all circles upon request. But the idea is, so if there is a reason why this 20% or the hours or whatever is not sufficient for you to get by, then you can have, maybe you want to buy a tool, maybe you have this very specific thing you want to outsource, you can't do it in your circle. Maybe the kind of task that you would like to allocate are so in demand that you can't find people for $10. Even that could be a reason, but you have to give valid arguments, they have to be convincing, and then we'll treat that on a case-by-case basis. The question is, of course, who will make the decisions on that? That is a hard question. Thought about that for a while. We don't know yet, and we need to tread carefully here. So making financial decisions in a group is probably one of the hardest things to do. So for the short term, it will be just me and Rafael, consulted by the focus group. But I hope this will not be the end solution. So I thought about before we could have kind of financial committee. Maybe that's a little bit too centralized, or they would get a lot of power. I don't know. We could do it circle-wide by consent. That might cater for people that will say, well, nobody objected to my proposal, so I better not object to somebody else's proposal either. There are all kinds of dynamics you can think of. So if anybody has a good suggestion on how we should make this kind of decisions in the future, please let me know, let the focus group know. And I think this is an area for some experimentation. Oh. So I'm almost there. You might ask yourself, is this a cost cut? The answer is yes and no. It is a yes in a sense, because we aimed for a flat fee of $10 with 20 hours for maybe 20% of the task. But what we saw is that we gradually, the number of tasks that were allocated or were invoiced, submitted based on the higher rate was growing and growing. There was a clear trend there. We saw that last time. And now it's almost 50-50. This is not what we intended to do. And therefore, we are bringing it back now to this 80-20. So in that case, yes, it's a cost cut. However, it's not a cost cut because we're actually massively expanding our total spending, increasing our total spending. So last half, the total spending of all circles was $69,000 over a 6-month period. Based on the estimates that you all gave and some small tweaks that we put in there, we are now looking at $115,000 spendings in the first half of 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't fully reach that, because some of these budgets have some room and they are based on expected growth and so the actual ones may be a little bit higher. But just to show you that we are not shy of spending money on valuable contributions. So we would like everybody to continue to work, expand their work, and also expand the scope of the things that we're doing. So last slide here. We are putting more agency in the hands of the circles. So this new method, if we follow all of us will follow this, then it means it won't be me or Rafael chasing down and having discussions with people. Well, is this a $10 hour or is it $20 hour? This will all be discussions within your circle. We aim to learn and are open to ongoing discussions and new ideas. We will evaluate the new process during the next reporting cycle. So this is not the begin all and end all of this discussion. We expect ongoing learnings and insights, and we hope to learn them from you. And we're open whenever somebody has a good argument and we feel it's a proper thing to do, we continue to be open to change. So coming back to the main goal, why are we doing this exercise? The main goal is to cater for a sustainable program, also in the line of the absolute expenses, but with a shared sense of responsibility and a fair share of the available budget. So the responsibility is now distributed more towards the circles, and I hope you will appreciate that and use that in a good way. And we hope that based on this basic flat fee, it will also cater for more of a fair share of the available budget. So that's it. And I'll stop sharing. And let me know if you have any questions, remarks, or other things. Roho.
I am panicking. A lot of changes. Well, I had a question actually. So basically, we are going to a flat fee of 10, and with the current system, people do have the choice to go to basically select whether it's at $10 an hour or $20 an hour. Now, what I wanted to ask is, with that 20% increase, will that be assumed in the beginning of the 4 weeks or at the end of the 4 weeks?
So the process that I imagine it right now, but that will also the process, how we do it, will be a discussion with us, between us and Rafael and the operations circle. What I imagine is that after each month, there will be a kind of report where each circle will see, well, this is, and maybe they can proactively look at it. This is the number of hours we spend, so this is the budget, so 20% of that budget. So if at the end of the month you spend $1,000, 100 hours, so $1,000, then that means you have $200 of margin that you can allocate as you want. So I imagine the weeks after that you could or maybe the week after that, you can discuss with your team what the best way is to allocate that, maybe after a couple of months. So in the beginning, that might take a little bit more overhead and more discussion. It might be that over time, there will be more like a routine thing. It might also be that it will be a routine thing, but once in a while, something will come up that somebody says, well, this is an exception, and I think we should reward this specific task highly because this person put a special effort or something like that. So the process that I imagine is that at the end of the month, or maybe in the next month, we could also make it rolling, that there's one reporting and that there's reporting of the hour of this month. And you will also allocate the additional budget of the previous month. I want to leave that open. I also want to leave that open a little bit to the circles and the individual team members. Is it important for you to get it faster? So, but then create some extra work, or is it better to have it to reduce the amount of work as much as possible and have once a month a moment where you report and submit the actual hours and look at the additional budget from the previous month? That could be a thing. Another thing that I can imagine, Roho, how we would do this, how we would automate this, is we could stick to the template that you have now, but maybe have another template where people can enter things in a more flexible way, but it will be calculated back into the template that you have right now. But yeah, that's a process. We need to figure that out.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know. On another 2 points that is more relevant to everyone, I would say here is So the first thing is about consensus. How will it be determined within the circle? Um, and I forgot the second one, so I'll go back to that, I guess.
Well, my expectation is that each circle will talk about it. And then my expectations is that 8 or 9 out of 10 times in this situation will be that you will reach consensus talking. However, if a circle feels more comfortable with having a voting process, for instance, yeah, then you can experiment with that. The final answer here is it's up to the circle. It's up to the circle to decide how you want to allocate this 20%, and also decide about the decision process.
Very nice. So, yeah, this is probably going to be relevant in the operations meeting, which is how do we record it and make sure it is an actual consensus on these things. But yeah, we'll probably have to discuss it later. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I think the coordinator, so the person that is now submitting the final sheets of the team should also be doing that in the future. And they should be, so they should be offering you the final data. And how that data was created is the responsibility of the circle. And I imagine focus group, for instance, being in touch with people. We need to probably need to create some kind of channel that if some circle member feels that things are not done fairly, that somebody is pushing their own will against others or is not submitting it as it was agreed or something, we probably need to have some process that people can raise that, and then we'll look into that. Thank you for your thumbs up, Fanny. Rafael.
Yeah, your last remark was what I was about to say. Yesterday, we started to talk about this process as well as we detected some potential issues with this process where in a three member team or in a 20 member team, we might have also members that are feeling that they are not being fairly treated. So the idea is we are still under, it's an ongoing discussion in a way that we can create an ombudsman for this process as well, where you are going to be able to reach out and say, hey, this is happening. Because of this, and this, I feel I am not being treated equally or with fairness. So you are going to go on and take a look as well in what's going on, right? The circles, what we are doing here, we are a lot of power as well. It's a step up from what we came from where we came from. And with great power also comes, yes, great responsibility, right? So it's important because this system is based on trust, and we trust you all. So it's our premise to trust you when deciding on this. But this doesn't mean that we are not going to follow and keep an eye and overview what's going on in order to see, this is not going the right direction. So we are going to talk and see the best way of dealing with this. Yeah. And just another point that seems to be, for instance, the focus group has chosen this process of flat fee. It's also because the onboarding of this group is more controlled, right? Imagine if we have more people join like marketing circle where people comes, but having a flat fee wouldn't fit. So as Jan mentioned, if you have some idea in what to do and it's a different one from what we are proposing, we are keen to hear, but you have to have the right reasons and rationale behind for us to accept. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. lowering their hand now.
Yeah,
Rafael?
funny.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of feedback from focus groups discussion yesterday. We went into it in quite a lot of depth, and most of it obviously Anna's covered. But we were thinking it would be quite cool if circles could report a little bit on their expenditure and their process and how it's working. And we've been mulling over how we could keep that simple with, the least overhead for circles to have to do it. But yeah, just it kind of feeds into what you were saying, Rojo, as well. We're thinking that it would be really interesting if we could somehow integrate this with monthly reports so that people have a little section where they say what they spent in hourly terms and something about how they allocated their 20%. Maybe a controlled vocab to categorize whether they spent it on rewarding tasks that they saw as more skilled or less popular or outside their core work or risky or whatever it might be, or if they shared it equally. It would just be interesting and useful, we think, to be able to track that a bit. And then, of course, in a few months, we run a survey of some sort again to kind of try and capture how it's been going in the different circles. Um, yes, obviously, this is probably going to be something that operations is going to be looking at. And if there's any way that it could be automated or fed into people's monthly reports to say what they have actually spent in, the $10 an hour terms, and then leave them to add something about how it's not so much what they spent it on, it's like how did they make the decision on how to allocate their extra 20%.
All right. Any more comments? Any more remarks about this topic?
Let it sink in a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't expect everything to go right and great. Maybe in some circles there will be some people that are not fully happy. Maybe that's also the case already, by the way. At least we saw a number of people that scored low on the fairness of the system currently. So, yeah, maybe we should ask again after half a year or so what people think about the fairness of the system. And I do hope that it would have increased by then. Of course, it's statistics, and we have now 20 people answering, and maybe next time there will be 20 different people answering. So it's not an absolute, but would be helpful to see some trend here. Another thing that stands out for me, well, first of all, there's the responsibility of the circle. This adds to a further trajectory of decentralization, where circles become more independent and more in charge of what they want to do and how they do it. And I think that's the right way to go. So it's indeed a very important and good next step in our journey, as Tommy was saying in the comments. To be honest, there's also this other part that maybe something will go wrong. But if something will go wrong, I hope it will go wrong in just one circle. And then it's much easier to correct and to deal with that than if something goes wrong in the whole program. And yeah, that is how we saw things going over the last months. We saw this trajectory of moving targets, moving rates also, which was a program-wide situation. So no system is perfect. Every system requires, as Rafael said, some measure of trust. So to give you, I don't want to put any bad ideas in your head, but it's hard for us to control if the hours that you're putting in your sheets are the actual hours that you made, or if you rounded it up a little bit. So here we trust you. We trust you to be fair. But we will also monitor this. We will, and we, when I say we, I mean the analytics circle. Together with operations, we will see what the trends is, if certain tasks are inflationary in terms of time, and if that happens, we'll have a conversation about that, and maybe we'll learn that there are very good reasons for that, and then there's no problem. So we will monitor, we'll try to figure out what's going on, but it stands above reason that we need to trust you and we want to trust you. And I think the best way to nurture a culture of trust is by making sure that we also have a culture of fairness, where everybody feels that they get, and also the other people get, a fair share of the total rewards. I'll stop there for a moment.
All right. Yeah, I think we definitely need to reflect, I guess, and let it sink in and hopefully come back to these discussions as we thought about it, I guess. Yeah, on my side, on a first note, and more on, I guess, on the event circle or being a circle member, is the discussion process, which can be a bit tricky, especially when people don't disagree. We create an environment where the team who's working together will be in that moment kind of competing, let's say, for a share of the pie, which could raise eventual concerns or like eventual frustrations between the team members due to those payment discussions. But as I said, better to think about this and maybe see how it goes before making too many decisions as we just received the information.
Yeah, I can react on that quickly. Yeah, I thought about that too. It might work out a way that you start fighting each other because you don't agree and you really disagree, and my tasks are more important or his tasks are more important.
Or worse than fighting is the resentment that can build up for those who don't fight and just take
Oh,
it.
that's a very good point. Yeah. And so I don't have a 100% measure for that. On the other hand, it might also be that by having this topic together that is important for everybody and having this monthly moment that you are talking about it, it might actually bring you together. And you might feel valued by your team members because you feel that you did some awkward task and you did it really good. And it will give you a very positive feeling that is acknowledged by your other team members. So, yeah, it might work out different ways depending on the people and the dynamics in the circle. So, it might also work out very positively. And that's what I mean when I say, well, there will be differences per circle, but if there is something really going wrong, so I can imagine this might explode in some circle in some way that people really disagree. Well, we'll deal with that as it comes, but at least there will be one circle, and I'm pretty sure there will also be other circles where it will work pretty nicely, and maybe even bring more trust and more appreciation for each other. Funny.
Yeah, I can see that happening in the circles, and definitely maybe both both versions happening in the same circle in different months.
That's totally fine. So
That's what I
it
can
will be
say.
interesting. We're all people here. And it will be interesting to see how this will evolve.
Definitely. Vanny, you have your hand up, please.
Yeah, just based on what you were just saying, it just made me think. I mean, I really like Jan's phrase, a fair share of the pay based on the work you do. But I think maybe there's an issue also here that circles need to think about not just sharing the pay fairly, but sharing the work fairly. So like not poaching tasks or undercutting each other, being cutthroat about, I want to do this, I want to do that, being aware of what other work groups are doing and not kind of poaching their work and this kind of thing. It's a concern, I think, and maybe it helps us to be a bit more aware of each other and work together as an overall ecosystem more.
May I react to that?
No.
A very good and very valid remark. When we started with this community-driven part of the program, we had this idealistic idea that there would be rotation of roles. We don't see that happen a lot. And it can be multiple reasons. It can be just people get used to a certain way of doing things. It can be that certain people are the right persons to do some things and other people are not interested. But yeah, it might be that this mechanism might also cater for a different way of sharing those tasks. And that maybe if together in a circle we say, well, we think this task should be higher rated, should be $20 or even $30 if we think it's worth it. But then we also made the agreement that everybody who is interested in that task can do it in another month or something. So that could definitely also be part of these conversations. Would be very interesting to see how that will work out.
All right. Well, if there's no more comments, no more anything on this topic, I think we.
Sorry, one more last. We'll know
All right.
when this will pop in. So I'll need to discuss with Rojo and the team what needs to be done to support this process. We'll try to do this as soon as possible. But until we have the new sheets or new process or whatever, we will continue as we go along. But I would like everybody, all the circles, at least to start the conversation and also to think about the categorization of the task. And then we'll keep you posted and we'll let you know when we are ready to have this new system in effect. Sorry, that's it.
No worries. In fact, picking up on that, the next item in our open all hands would be the presentation from Rojo, I think. Right, Rojo? On the new payment system, which now I don't know how much is going to change. So Rojo, please come tell me what you think. Is it worth it to present what we have going on right now for this month? Are we already changing everything again? What do you think?
We are still using it for a while, so yes, I would
Yeah,
say yes
the new
until we
system is
update everything.
old. The new system is old already, which is very interesting. Well, uh, yeah, we did a change of system where we moved from these one use only sheets that people use to host uh, basically on their Google Drive or whatever into more of a unified sheet per person where they can record their tasks and all these things. Now, initially, in the sheets that most members here have, there is a coupling between the payment process and the task themselves. So in that sheet, you will see that it prompts you to choose whether it's a $10 or a $20 per hour task. Now, based on the discussion we have, and we still have to have more discussion later on with Jan and Rafael and the other team members, that will probably be removed. So tasks and payments will be separate. So they won't be coupled in one place. And processes for that will be developed, obviously. Uh, but still, since we're going to be using the current system, I guess, for at least a week or two, so it would be nice to just go through it again. There was a documentation that I sent to most of you, if not all, to check out on how to fill your tasks and also for coordinators on how to audit the tasks and how to submit a payment request. So I will share my screen. Just go to the documentation page. So the documentation page is the following. So it's called Circle Payments. It's under all circles in the DF manual or DF book, which is the documentation that will also be renewed by the documentation team that is working on a phenomenal documentation website. But yeah, for now on, for now it's here. So we have two things. We have steps for circle members and steps for circle coordinators, depending on where you stand. For the circle members, it's quite simple. So what we have is we have a certain, you have your individual sheet that is given to you mostly by myself. And it has the following data fields, things like date, the circle where the task happened, the title of it, the type that we discussed before, and then you have a description. And then the hours spent, obviously, and its status. So you can think about it as a task tracker for whatever task you're doing. Here we show, this is probably won't be used anymore, which is it shows which tasks are $10 or $20 an hour. But yeah, this will be deprecated, I guess. And then, well, then we go to coordinators. So coordinators have slightly different. So they also have the same steps as normal members, where they have to input their tasks and all these things. But they do have other tasks to do or other responsibilities, which is to audit the tasks. So they have to go through the individual sheets of every member, check out the details, make sure it's consistent, and then mark it as audited while writing the name in the auditing by section. Once the auditing is done, the coordinator has to go through a form. I don't know if you can see it now. Let me go back here. Can you see the form now, or should I change the screen?
Yes, I can
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
cool. Okay. So the form is very simple. So what you have to do is choose the name of the person that you're requesting a payment for and click submit. So it doesn't have any metadata or anything. It's just submitting the name. Some pointers that I would like to mention is that you shouldn't request a payment before you do the auditing. Because once you request a payment, there is an automation in the background that is only taking the audited tasks. It's gonna take the audited tasks, and it's gonna calculate the total payment to be requested for the member. So yeah, I noticed that some people had that problem, so I wanted to mention it. Yeah, that's mostly it. After that, there is the payment process, which mostly Rafael and Jan take care of. They're basically going through the payments, making sure everything is okay. I'm doing usually some auditing as well, but it's mostly technical, just making sure the data is okay and all this kind of stuff. It's not about the content of these things. Yeah, making sure that requests are actually reflected in the payment records and all these things. Yeah, but mostly this is it. Now, I do want to mention something, which I don't know, we will discuss with Jan and Rafael later, about the necessity of recording tasks, regardless whether they are related to payment or not. For example, we have the case of the focus group, where the tasks themselves are not related to the payments. So the payments is going to be a fixed monthly payment, but I do think it's still valuable to record the tasks themselves. I know that the focus group has like almost fixed tasks that they will be doing. So you have like specific meetings and specific research to be done. And those we can basically create templates to make it easier to record them. But I still think it's something valuable to have in terms of analytics. But yeah, it's a discussion to be had. But yeah, more or less, this is it.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Hugo. I know you've also sent the links to people so they can check it out if they have any questions, at least until they get used to. And hopefully you're also one message away, just to give you a
Yeah,
bit more work.
it's my inbox is it turned out crazy a bit since I started sharing the sheet. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
For
the
sure,
work. And we
for sure.
have Vanny with the hands up. So please, Vanny.
Yeah, just hoping to save you a DM here, real quick. It's something that I know a few people are not sure about. As a circle member rather than a coordinator, we've most of us have done like 1 month's worth already. So new tweet a new sheet, or do we just add it to the bottom of the existing sheet, or what? Do you see
Very,
what I mean?
I'm very sorry, but like in the middle, I don't know if it's
Oh,
from my side, but it cut a bit.
yeah, I'm just asking, we've already most people have already put in some tasks that have been paid, and then this month we're presumably going to put in some more. Do we create a new sheet in our
Oh,
Google Sheet, or do we just add it to the bottom of the existing one?
all right.
And is there any way that it's marked what's been paid
That's a
and what
wonderful
hasn't?
question. That's a wonderful question. So there can be errors, and if those errors happen, that's totally my fault. Uh, But normally, what should happen is if a task is getting got paid, it shouldn't exist on your sheet anymore. It should disappear.
Right, I
I,
haven't looked at my sheet to see if that happened, but that's brilliant. All right, thank you.
If you notice that's not the case, please let me know. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I didn't mess anything up, but yeah, it should disappear. By the way, it disappears. I know Jan might panic when he hears disappear. It doesn't mean it totally disappears. It just goes to a different record table with all the historical tasks, of course.
Based on that and following up on that question, so imagine we would like to assess that record as a, I don't know, coordinator or something. Is there a process to do that, or
Wonderful
that
question.
wouldn't be
A lot of
possible?
wonderful questions. Yeah, it's good that you reminded me. I totally forgot about this. So, okay, it's here. So let me share my screen again. So as a coordinator, you will have access to this, which basically, so if you're a coordinator of multiple circles, you can select from here. For example, I'm a coordinator of the operation circle. So you can see here operations. Here I can see the number of members. I can see the total worked hours. I can also see the individual sheets per member if I want to audit it or whatever. And I can also see the tasks, the historical tasks. So I can determine here a date. I tried it last time with Jan and Rafael. I don't know if it was bugging or something else. Hopefully it will work now. No pressure. Yeah, again, God damn it. I think we didn't update yet. So yeah, this is not available for you guys for this exact reason, because we're trying to fix some bugs. One of them is access bug that we're fixing. So we don't want a coordinator to access other groups' sheets and this kind of data. And one of them is the date filtering. So there is a bug in the date filtering. I think by Friday it should be done. So all of you guys will receive a login. Some coordinators already have a login. I think in the review circle, they already have it, but most of the coordinators don't. And it's by design, not a bug, because it's not ready yet. So yeah, by Friday, once it's ready again, I will hit you up in the DMs and bother you a bit, giving you the username and the password, and then you can, from there, you can access it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. It looks really cool. Looking forward for
Thank
it,
you.
and thanks
Thank you.
for the
Appreciate it.
work. Any more questions? Any more remarks? Anyone? Wow, I think the silence means no. That being said, unless someone wants to talk about anything else or bring any topic, I think we are coming to a close and we'll be wrapping up this open all ends session. A session with a lot of novelty for sure. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of these circles, these communities, and we hope to see you soon next week. Oh, wait, we have NerdConf. I don't know if it's Ale or Tom. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. It's Alex here. No, I just wanted to say that today All Hands was really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to see this new system where the budget is already determined to see how people react. I think it's a really nice experiment, and I'd love to go through it. That's it.
All right, Ale, great hearing your voice. Thank you for chiming in and for sharing your insights. Yeah, it was great. Please, if anyone else wants to do the same, you're welcome. If not, again, we'll be wrapping up for today, and I hope to see you next week on 6 p.m. UTC on Thursday for the town hall, and for us to see how is the round going, right? We have an ongoing round right now, so it's definitely exciting. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Take care. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.